in that 90 days, I made him, just a quick story. I made the company $20 million. Won't go into that, but I made them 20 million, 20% on that. So, not 20 million. But, and then he gave me a bonus that year for $150. And so I was like, okay, I can never work for somebody ever again for the rest of my life.
Nobody's born incredible. People who do incredible things simply took the right steps. This is our journey. This is the hunt for incredible. Welcome back to another episode of The Hunt for Incredible. This is a special one. We actually are doing this intro at the end because the conversation was such fire diving into that. We just said screw it and went ahead and started. On this episode, we talk about mindset, discipline, how to balance a busy life of being an entrepreneur with fitting fitness in and being a great father or a parent. And so this episode is full of absolute fire. We got my man, Ross Tschirn. Ross, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. We got into some good stuff. It was a great episode. You guys are going to have a blast listening to this one.
Oh yeah, let's dive in. Peace.
Well, the craziest thing that I've done was the Navy SEAL History Channel show. I don't know if I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
that
think
wasn't in
we,
the bio.
I don't think you know about that. So that's probably the craziest thing. I was on the History Channel 10 years ago. Okay. Where Navy SEALs and Special Forces operators brought me through a selection process, which it was just bringing civilians with no military background experience through a Special Forces boot camp experience. Okay. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I quit. I will say I'm not cool. I quit like 4 days in. But a really weird story. A week ago, one of the Navy SEALs that was on the show kicking my butt in the sand shot me a text saying like, hey, I saw you clicked my link on Instagram. And then he sent me a video, and I sent him a video right back. I was like, hey, I was on the show with you. And he FaceTimed me. So I was FaceTiming one of these icons the other day. It was like me FaceTiming The Rock. It was so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an experience that I had.
Dude, that's
really
it.
To me, man.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. We'll kick it off with that. So what was this? On the History Channel, a show where Navy SEALs brought in civilians and just kicked their asses?
Basically, so it's like civilians with no military background experience at all are going to go through this Special Forces selection process. And it was just, I think it ended up being 12 days, which you didn't know at the time. It was just like, hey, you're going to go through all of these interview processes, all of these drug tests, IQ tests, all these things for about a week. And then they sent 40 of us to California, and then they picked 30 of us. So 10 got sent home. For like the first day, it was just carnage. I got tear gassed. I got hypothermia. I got heat stroke. I stayed up all night, ate no food. I mean, it was just, I could name so many things that happened in that first 24 hours. And at the time, I was in corporate America, and I was like, okay, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm meant to do something different. So when I went home, within 2 years, like I quit my job and found myself in Austin, Texas, pursuing entrepreneurship.
Because of that moment?
Yeah, man, I just knew, like, how is Mr. Corporate Office Ross training with Navy SEALs on TV right now?
Yeah.
Like, I am not just meant to go and do stocks and bonds in my office wearing a suit and tie. Like, I know I'm meant for more. And that experience just kind of showed me, like, hey, you can do anything you set your mind to. Even though you quit, it was like you still got on this show. So that just lit this like spark in my brain that I was meant for more than just like chasing the corporate ladder, you know?
Well, bro, screw the intro. We'll do that at the end. Let's just keep this going. So it's almost like it breaks the reality of what you think you're going through, right? And I had a similar experience where so I went to college for engineering, and my last semester, it was actually the winter break my senior year. I had already gotten a job by the end of my first semester, and so the rest of the semester just like survive this and I'm good. And I went to Thailand for 5 weeks with a buddy of mine who ended up becoming a Navy SEAL, and he is just one of my best friends. We actually have another trip in Canada coming up in like a week and a half. And that experience made me realize that you can literally create whatever reality. Look, I've got goosebumps right now. Like you can create whatever reality you want to create. Like, we're told these stories and we're given these roadmaps in life, and the roadmaps are just designed for the lowest common denominator of just like, okay, if you want to kick your brain into laid back mode and just cruise, then like this is a safe bet. But if you want to be proactive and actively shape your reality, you can literally, it's as quick as making a decision. It's not this lengthy, like maturing process to begin that process. And of course, there's maturing along the way, but it's literally just the decision and the realization of your life doesn't have to look like everybody else's. And you can literally today pivot into this zone where your life looks completely different.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. You know how they say like everything happens for a reason? Sure, it does, but you can also take action and make things happen, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, if that's been the phrase of my life, really, is taking action. That's why I love the shark thing. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but I love sharks because they're always about forward momentum.
Yes.
And just moving forward and tearing shit up and taking action. So that's like been the theme of my life. You can literally create any life that you want just by taking action, coming up with a vision, a plan, and then executing.
Yeah. So break that down a bit more. So you had this Navy SEAL experience. They totally kicked your ass. And what was that aha moment where you realized, oh, I don't actually have to do this corporate America thing. I can do whatever I want?
I think it was always instilled in me as a little kid.
It just needed to be woken up.
I hate authority, you know? And so when somebody, like my first corporate experience, when somebody was like, hey, you're going to be making this much money, you have to check in at this time, clock out at this time, this is my expectations, all these things. I hated that. I hated that so much. So whenever I went into an experience where I was around Navy SEALs, creative people, people who were doing different things, it's like you are who you surround yourself with. So if I was going to corporate, and I remember my first job, one of my coworkers, he was always like, oh yeah, you're bringing in your prepped lunches and you're probably working out after work and stuff. He's like, that's going to last like 90 days and then it won't happen anymore. So immediately he planted the seed of doubt in my mind. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to surround myself with people like you. I'm sorry. So immediately quit. And I put myself in a different field of energy, you know? And then when I was with those Navy SEALs and with the other people that were out there who were also just badass people, you know, it made me realize like, this is also who I am. I'm here for a reason, not just because I have abs and I look pretty, you know, like I'm here because I have a totally different mindset. And actually when I quit, his name's Bert Kuntz. He looked in my eyes and he was like, bro, you have way more to give. Like, why did you quit? I'm like, I don't know. I just got in my brain. It was just like, I didn't have a reason why, you know, I was there at the time. I'm 32, about to be 32. And back then I was 21. So much different mindset, you know, and I just didn't know how to like embrace adversity and the challenges. But anyway, I bring that up because that really shaped me. I've talked about it on every podcast that I've ever gone on. Everybody wants to talk about this thing because it's a really cool experience, but I always want to talk about it because I will never forget the people that I was with, the man that I became after that experience, you know? It really shaped who I've become. And that theme is just constant pursuit of a better Ross.
Yeah. It's like the version of you that went to that boot camp died and like never came back.
Never came back.
I want to stop for a second, or at least tease out your response when the person said like, oh, that won't last more than 90 days. We have these limiting beliefs that are built up based on the feedback from other people and what they plant in our lives. And we act like it's objective feedback when they say like, oh, you're not good at writing, or you're not good at reading, or you can't build a business, or like you're going to fail at that business. And we feel like it's objective truths, but really it's just subjective ignorance that we end up building around ourselves. And I have a good buddy. He's based in Austin. I should introduce you to, actually. You guys would get along really well. And he brought up the other day, we were talking about mindset and self-belief and how you become who you believe you actually are, and how it's the identity in yourself that, like the self-identity, what you believe about yourself, that translates into you becoming something incredible and something more. And he said, we're only born with two fears, the fear of bright lights and the fear of loud noises. Everything else is fabricated. And so like, what's fabricated is from people saying this will only last 90 days. And so now you have a limiting belief where you're like, okay, this is difficult. It's not going to last 90 days. That's the first belief. The second belief is that you're a quitter. The third belief is that you can't like handle these tough times and that you actually will break. And so like one comment stacks up these beliefs. And if you just choose to ignore them or choose to not accept them because you say, no, that's actually not my identity. Like, you don't know me. I know me better than you know me. And your response to that wasn't, oh, shit, how do I keep this more than 90 days? Your response was, you don't belong in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
get out of here.
Like, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to nip it in the bud. I not only don't need that comment, but I don't even need the source of that comment because this isn't productive for me.
I quit that job so fast, man. And I didn't even have a backup or anything. I was just like, this is not meant for me.
Yeah.
So I got out of it, you know?
Yeah. So what did that journey moving forward look like in terms of getting out of that job with this new like realization that you had that you
Well,
went for more?
life kind of hit me. Mom got sick with colon cancer. So unfortunately, moved back home. I just didn't know what was going to happen with her. Thank the Lord, she is cancer free, very healthy today.
Nice.
So that was good. But yeah, that happened. And then also went through a really bad breakup. I dated a girl all through high school and then college. And then my senior year of college, we parted ways. And so I just was like hit at this time of my life with a lot of adversity, heartbreak. My mom's dying. I quit my job. I moved back home. I don't really know the direction that my life is going. And then I got this opportunity to the Navy SEAL thing. So right whenever all of these negative things were happening, the Navy SEAL opportunity came. I did that and it just flipped a switch. And then ever since then, I started tagging on Instagram, hashtagging positive minded Ross. So that was just like my mindset and like my aura now was just optimism and positivity. And then that can shape my future, right? Like optimism is being hopeful of your future outcomes. And so I was like, okay, if I'm optimistic and positive and backing that up with taking action and trying to bring forth the best version of me every day, things will happen, you know? So started getting a couple different jobs. I got an opportunity to work on an engineering firm. I was doing some like turnkey systems for the pulp and paper industry. Learned a lot of stuff. My boss at the time was like, okay, hey, you can get a promotion and go to Wisconsin, or you can stay in the office here and do, you know, a promotion, project management stuff. And I was like, hey, how about Austin, Texas? Because he gave me a promotion in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And he basically was like, let me think about it for 90 days. Thought about it for 90 days. He ended up saying no. In that 90 days, I made him, just a quick story. I made the company $20 million. Won't go into that, but I made them 20 million, 20% on that. So, you know, not 20 million. But, and then he gave me a bonus that year for $150. And so I was like, okay, I can never work for somebody ever again for the rest of my life. And so that was a quick story, but that is what expedited me to get to Austin, Texas, and then pursue entrepreneurship. So I moved here without a job. 6 months just spent networking, living off savings, ended up landing a gig with a company called Wild Foods. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but it's a great supplement brand around here. They were paying me and my buddy $1,500 a month each just to live and promote the product. So I basically got to like live, bills paid for, network, and had no responsibilities for like the first 2 years of being in Austin. And then it just kind of all, you know, just domino effect for me. I really focused on my fitness. I've been fit this whole time. So, you know, people were paying me money to do coaching and fitness and personal training. Then I found senior citizens. So I started getting into assisted living facilities and memory care units, doing training and personal training there. And so that's been something that is like my give back in a sense, or my way to impact, you know, demographic that's overlooked. So I've been doing that a lot. And then that has gotten me into opening my eyes of this. Now I'm talking about business, but this senior demographic is so undercared for, and there's a massive opportunity when it comes to taking care of them and giving them quality care and beds to live in. The baby boomer generation is now becoming the silver tsunami of seniors, is what they call it. So in the next 10 years, there's going to be a massive demand of senior citizens needing beds and an undersupply of the beds. So that's a massive business opportunity. Anyone listening, don't steal my idea, or we can partner up. But that's something that I really want to get into, is taking care of the senior citizens, not just through fitness, but through quality care. So that's the new idea long term where I want to get into.
I need to connect you with my buddy Alex. He is acquiring boutique senior living properties.
No way.
And they're like ripping through them.
Oh,
I think he's on number like 4 or 5 right now. I actually did a podcast episode with him. He raised, I think it was $1 million in 7 days.
Oh, I bet it's
for
so
one
easy.
of them.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, I'll connect with them afterwards. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Dude, okay, so I wanted to touch on something. You mentioned right before this domino effect started that you were really in the pits. There's so much value from going in the pits that I feel like, so I have a similar story in that so when I first got into real estate, my wife and I were both from San Antonio, but we didn't live there at the time. So we wanted a place that we could crash when we were in town for the holidays. So we ended up buying a short-term rental. And then I'm always thinking of economies of scale. So I thought if I'm going to buy property, I might as well get, 4 doors under one roof, the most you can get in residential. So we bought a fourplex. We converted all the units into short-term rentals. During that time, my wife got incredibly sick, and I'll keep a very long story short. She got incredibly sick. We didn't know what was going on with her. She was bedridden. She couldn't walk or had a hard time stringing sentences together. Her brain fog was so bad. We took her to like 10 different doctors, ran every test you could imagine, and every test came back that she was normal. They're like, we can't find anything that's wrong with her. Within that 4-month period, my mom got a form of liver cancer that only has a 20% survival rate. And my dad was rushed to the ER with heart failure, and they were like, he's going to need a heart transplant or he's going to die. He's like hooked up tubes all over him. It was an absolutely gnarly sight. And this was during COVID, so I couldn't visit my mom in the hospital. I couldn't visit my dad. My wife was bedridden. Nobody knew what was wrong with her. And this was during a 4-month period where I was under so much stress and strain while like flipping this property and juggling my W-2 and trying to keep everybody alive, and realizing that there was absolutely nothing that I could do. And you probably felt the same thing with your mom, where you're like, it's like a moment of full surrender where you're like, okay, I know I've laid everything out on the table and now all I can do is just like wait. And I went on so many long walks and had conversations with God where I was just like, all right, bro, like this is it. Like this, like, what do I need to learn here? My mindset shifted to like, what can I gather while I'm in these pits? Because there are nuggets of gold and wisdom and growth in those pits that you can't find anywhere else. And the deeper you go, the richer the reward. And so I was just like looking for the lessons to learn and like hit it like face value. And at the same time, I was training for an ultra marathon. So like I had zero time. I had zero time. I would wake up at 5 a.m. and run for about 2 hours, depending on my routine. But I probably averaged like 2 hours in the morning, listening to audiobooks on real estate and how to get into it, listening to like medical stuff, trying to figure out what was going on with my wife, because like nobody knew what was going on, while figuring out like my mom and dad and everything else. And long story short, literally by a miracle, everybody lived. So like my mom made it out. My dad got the heart transplant. He was literally on his deathbed for 4 months straight. They're like, I don't think he's going to make it. And then ended up in the last minute getting the swap.
That's a miracle.
And so while I would never want to revisit those moments, those are some of the most valuable lessons. Like the lessons that I got from those pits are some of the most precious that I would never trade for anything. And that's what pivoted my mindset towards like obsessively scaling my real estate portfolio and building a team that scales it without me, because I realized like my health could go at any second. Like there's no reason why I should be alive tomorrow. So I need to build something that'll take care of my wife who can't hold a job because she's bedridden and everything else. And then that like pushed me into commercial real estate and buying hotels and everything else, where I'm like, holy shit, I unlocked a version of me, or something unlocked a version of me through those pits that I wouldn't trade for anything. And so for anybody listening right now, like if you're in a tough time, lean into it, like really like soak it in, cherish it, savor the moment. There's no reason why pain has to be a negative thing. It's simply another experience that you're having. Like lean into that experience and embrace it and like learn to love it and find the gold in there, because if you leave those pits and you come out of that without a lesson, then it was all for nothing.
As I sit here and listen to you say these things, I'm like, how have we not met each other?
Dude.
Hey, quick pause here. If you're getting value from these conversations, it would mean the world to me if you took 10 seconds right now to leave a 5-star review. Each review directly helps us reach more people who can benefit from these incredible conversations. And if you're looking to buy a hotel or invest in one of our deals, or even if you just want to say, hey, you can send us an email at hello@thehuntforincredible.com. We'd love to hear from you. Now back to the show.
I've said this sentence for years to my clients. The strength is in the struggle. And then I bring that, you said you were training for ultra marathons. I bring that mindset into my fitness because there's so much that I learn from the adversity of fitness, like the physicality. When I'm running, I've done one ultra marathon, so I've done one. But when I was in like those, 4, 5, 6, 7 hour moments, it's just like, wow, I got so much gold from those moments. But you kind of have to embrace like the suck for a little bit and have the mindset of like, hey, I can learn here if I open myself up to it. But I will say it took me a lot of not having that openness to learn to be open to it.
Yeah, dude, I regularly look back on the version of me in that experience, and that's the version of me I'm looking for. Like, that's the version of me I want to be today. Because, dude, I was waking up at 5 a.m, going and running for 2 hours, working the W2. At that time, I was manually doing a lot of the work on the fourplex myself because I wanted to learn how to do it myself before I started hiring it out while figuring out what's going on with like everything else in life. And so like that version of me was so dialed, there was no more fat to trim.
Well, your back was against the wall. So
Yeah.
you really had,
Yeah.
it's like do or die.
100%. And then as I worked my way out of that, or like the Lord pulled me out of that, I'd say, like, now I have less pressure and less strain, and it takes pressure to make a diamond, and I feel like I'm missing out on that pressure.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly looking, and this is a question that I have for you. I'm constantly looking for ways to apply healthy pressure to create that optimal version of me that's not getting soft because, you know, the pressure's off. Like I'm looking for that pressure cooker to create a diamond. So how do you structure the mindset for yourself and for your clients who they are making great money, they're CEOs of whatever, and they have the time, but they're just having a hard time getting after it because like they're comfortable?
Complacency kills, man. It's
Yeah.
the hardest thing ever, especially in your business. Once you start getting a little, well, in your it's kind of both, right? Because like if you get complacent in your fitness, you're probably going to be complacent in your business. But if you're complacent in your business, you're more likely going to be
Yeah.
complacent in your fitness, right? Like you're not getting up at 5 in the morning or going after work if you're just getting by. So it is a mindset that was like deep rooted in me, especially once I did that Navy SEAL experience. I was like, okay, you have to get after it every single day because this is, I don't know who said this quote, but it's so true. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. It's one of those. You're not staying the same. You're getting better or you're getting worse. So what one is it? You know, because if you think that you're just like kind of staying the same, bro, you're getting worse at whatever you're doing. You know, somebody out there is getting better than you are if you're just kind of coasting. So I think having a goal, like for me, I have financial goals, I have personal family goals, and then I have, you know, I guess just like fitness goals too. So having each one of those facets kind of keeps me driven. Like for my fitness, I want to do high rocks. No, I'm not trying to place, but I want to do high rocks. So I have to kind of keep up with my fitness. Like if I don't run, high rocks is going to suck when I do it. So it just kind of having goals in place and then reverse engineering to try to get those, I think is what helps my mindset stay so said. But on the flip side, people have asked me like, Ross, how do you stay so motivated over the years? It's like, man, every workout, every book, every mentor, every job, every situation is making me a better version of me. Like, how could I not be motivated to get after it and apply myself if I'm just reaping the rewards? My life's getting better. My reality is getting better. My relationship's getting better, you know? So for me, that's always been my mindset. Is just I'm positive minded Ross. I'm just trying to bring positivity to what I do each day. So for me, it's easy just to stay motivated. But I will say there's so many times when I don't want to do a workout. I don't want to do the inputs. But I also know that like, hey, if I want this output, no matter really how I feel, I just have to do the inputs. And if you can get to that point, like, oh, I don't want to run, but I want to do a sub 3 hour marathon, so I have to run. Like once you just get to that point and you can do it, then you'll get the outcome that you want.
Yeah, that makes sense. I always imagine that there's a version of me that has his sleep dialed, his nutrition dialed, his business dialed, and it's just like the flawless, like all the things I know I should be doing, he does flawlessly to a T, and that is who I'm competing with. And anytime I sleep in or I don't work out, especially when I don't work out a couple of days in a row, I'm like, fuck, he's getting ahead of me.
Man.
And I start getting way more aggressive for that alternate universe. And I'm fortunate that I have some friends in my life who actually are really dialed and getting out there. So they're like the real life competition. I'm like, I'm freaking coming for your lunch, bro. Don't get too far ahead.
I just had a new baby boy 4 months ago. His name's Maverick, but he teaches me the simplest things are sleep, food, and presence. And if those things, well, it's really the sleep and the food, right? If you don't have those in check, then you're going to be upset and you're going to start getting fussy. Same thing for you, dude.
Yeah.
You're just an older version of the baby, right?
Yeah.
Like you need your sleep, you need your food, you need to be de-stressing, getting outside, moving, like same thing with the babies. So that's really kind of showing me like, oh, we need the simplest things. And if we get all the simple things, we're prepared with our food, prepared with our sleep, life's going to be good.
Yeah. So let's segue into that because I have a little girl on the way. She's due in September.
Congrats,
I'm beyond pumped, dude.
That's
My first.
awesome.
I'm freaking pumped. I'm pumped. What advice do you have for the person who is a busy entrepreneur wanting to keep his or her health and shit in check and has a kid?
I will say you've heard it all. like, oh, it gets harder once you're a dad, once you have kids, once you're a father, it's so much harder. It is true. Yes, it is. But here's the thing. You want to be dialed in because now somebody's watching you. It's not just you trying to be a better version of you. It's like, hey, I need to be a role model for this other human being that literally relies on me to live and breathe. So once you have that perspective, it changes things. Like, yes, the first couple of months, like I'm almost 5 months in, it's kind of tough, the first couple of months. I'm assuming that you have a great wife, like she'll be a natural caregiver, and just kind of call into that, like breastfeeding and all those things. So it's really, honestly, it's been easy for me. It's been really easy. So I've gotten more fit since he's gotten here. No, seriously, I have. I've just been more committed to my business. I've been working way harder. I've been working longer. I've been really more committed. I don't know if it's just because kind of my back's against the wall. It's like, hey, it's do or die. Like I have a lot more financial responsibilities nowadays with just bought a house, bought a car, have a baby, have a wife, just so much things, which is great. I'm so blessed and grateful for where my life is. But yeah, you got to take it serious. You can't just be complacent because if that happens, I'm an entrepreneur. I have to hunt every day. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think for me, it's only made me more dialed.
Yeah, dude, I can see that. So there are a handful of things that I have said that people with parents look at me and say, you have no idea, you're out of your mind. When I'm like projecting to the future, this is what it looks like. There are a handful of those things. Maybe you can laugh at me for some of them, but one of them is like, I know that this kid is going to be a rocket ship for me. Like I'm going to move faster. I'm going to get better. I'm going to be more dialed. And I have friends that are like, your life will fall apart.
Dude, part of it is surrounding yourself. Like when you put that message out and you say, hey, this is going to be amazing for me. It's going to propel me to the next place. Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you can't, it's already true. So if you think that that's true, bro, it is true. And the people that you need in your life are the ones that are like, yeah, dude, it's going to be great for you. Not the ones who are like, oh, no, like just you wait. It's like, just you wait the way out of my life.
This is such a good point to stop on for a second, which is that feedback loop of how do you know who to surround yourself with? And it's thinking bigger, creating your own reality. And then when you put that reality into the world, how do people respond to it? Like this conversation, we're like, how have we not met each other sooner? It's like, that's the natural filter. When you're talking to people and they're like, no, dude, you don't understand. You're going to quit after 90 days. Or no, dude, trust me, like working out's the first thing that goes when you have a kid. And it's like, no, I'm not, like, you are not my people. And that's okay. There are different types of people, different strokes for different folks. But that is not my type of person. I have another friend, so I'm obsessive now about like asking people like, okay, what has your experience been before and after kids? Is it as hard as everyone else says? And one of my favorite pieces of feedback that I've gotten is a buddy of mine said, hard is relative, dude. Like, yeah, it's not the easiest thing. You're going to go through discomfort, but in terms of like defining the word hard, it is relative. And so now I've like baked that into the vision that I have. This is one of the things that people with kids laugh at me about. And I'll let people shoot me a DM after this if you think it's ridiculous, which is like, I don't think having a kid is going to be hard. Like, I think it's going to be uncomfortable 100%. Like there are going to be sleepless nights. There are going to be days where I'm sure the kid's going to like cry a whole bunch and everything else. But in terms of hard, like I don't define hard as just discomfort. I define hard as something that is challenging to do that I may or may not be able to succeed in. Like that's difficult. That's like, how do you scale a business to $1 million a month over 6 to 9 months? Like, okay, that's hard because you could succeed, you could fail, you really have to apply yourself and it's challenging. If you're hopping on a bus and just being tortured for a full year, that's not hard. And that's the same thing that I think with ultra marathons is like, is running an ultra marathon hard? I don't think it's hard. I think it's just a test of your pain tolerance. And that's just a matter of hopping on a bus and being tortured for 10 hours throughout the day. But that's not hard. Like it's going to end. You're going to get to the end of it. So for me, it's like, okay, obviously you have to make wise decisions and take care of your child. And you want to make sure that they don't end up in a situation where, they become traumatized for whatever reason. Like you really do have to protect your kids. And like I can see there being some difficulties around that. But overall, it's just a matter of like the barrier of entry to be a good parent is not that high. I think people get distracted with, oh, I need to make all this money and buy all these things. Really, you just need to be present and thoughtful and have that pain tolerance where you're okay with staying up with the child overnight and everything else. But in terms of hard, I choose to not receive that.
Do you know how a children spells LOVE?
Presence.
TIME.
I like that.
Yeah. It's so true. If you want your child to feel your love, it's just giving them your time. They don't need all the money. I mean,
Yeah.
it is good to have memories and experiences for your children. Obviously, I want to bring my kids to the beach and all these things, but it's really just giving them your time and attention and your love and being there for them. That's what makes you a good parent. Because so much, I mean, I don't know how it was for you growing up with your with kids and friends, but so many of my friends just had divorced families and just corrupt families. So like, it's honestly a gift if you can keep your family intact and just give your kids a loving parental relationship, you know? I come from that. My mom and dad have been together since they were 12 and 13, and they've never really fought in front of us. I mean, just great family. And so many of different girls that I've dated were in me for it. Like, your little family's perfect, blah, blah, blah. You're perfect. It's like, guys, I'm like, this is just my upbringing. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
This is my upbringing. I come from a positive place. So all you need to do is just give your kids love and attention and time. And that's all you literally have to do.
Yeah, I read somewhere that like one of the best things you can do as a father is just to like show your kids how much you love your wife. And they're like, yo, if you spend time with them and you show them what like true love looks like, you've already won 90% of the battles. Of course, this is just stuff I've read. I don't even know. I'm like giving parenting advice. This is not my parenting advice. This is just like what makes sense for me. Right? Because it's, you navigate life by ingesting a bunch of information and you reflect on your past experiences and you see what fits and what doesn't fit. And for me, I had a similar story. Like my parents, they loved each other growing up. And like, yeah, they had like their moments of friction and hurdles and nothing was perfect. But like, I remember thinking like, oh, my dad really loves my mom. And my mom always saying like, treat your wife like a princess. And so I was always like, okay, yeah, like you show kindness and love and everything else. And once I found that relationship where that was effortless and easy, it just clicked and it was magical. And now like having a little kid, like, dude, I walked into my office this morning and my office is right next to where our little girl's room is, what we're turning it into, the nursery. And I literally stopped and looked inside and like had a vision of what it's going to look like and imagining my wife in there holding our little girl and everything else.
Cool.
And I got choked up and I was just like by myself staring at this like partially empty room and was like, dude, like literally seeing the vision and projecting it out there and knowing that's what I'm working towards is incredible. And I know we should probably get more tactical in this podcast. We're just like talking about like the love of being a parent, but that is what it is. That's where we are right now. What is your approach for casting a vision and working towards the goals? Like whether it applies to something physical, like working out, or something, you know, more abstract.
I think the first thing, I think you even spoke about this a little bit earlier, is like speaking it into existence. So that's the first thing. If I'm like having a vision, I'm telling people about it. Like this senior business thing that I'm talking about. I'm talking about it. I'm asking questions. I'm networking. I'm just trying to exhaust my network. And then I'm probably going to talk to AI a little bit since we have the capabilities to do that nowadays. It's a brainstorming tool, right? Figure out, hey, does this idea make sense? Am I silly? Is this smart? And kind of just like brainstorm. And then it would be putting pen to paper and figuring out, okay, how, like from the numbers, financials perspective, does this make sense? Can we be profitable? And then it's figuring out an action plan. So I'm actually kind of doing that right now, trying to take a new venture on. So it's exciting. But I think it's really just like talking about it, coming up with a plan, and then getting to work, because there's so many opportunities that come and go. I'm sure, you know, you've probably had so many opportunities that come to your plate, but it's the ones that you just put your energy towards that give you the rewards. You know, like you could do anything in life, but it's the stuff that you just put your energy towards. That's what you're going to get. That's why I'm fit, because I put a lot of energy towards my fitness, my sleep, my food, my workouts, right? And then other people have noticed that, and that's turned into a career for me. I've made it profitable just from me doing, you know, my push-ups and eating some ground beef and rice. Like it's turned into this new mindset for me and new reality for me. So I think it's just really, yeah, putting it out there and then getting to work.
Yeah. There's not enough of building in public from people. That is such a massive hack. And that aligns with what you're saying about like getting it out there. Like I was literally talking about hotels before we were even done with our fourplex. Like towards the end of it, once I saw the numbers and how that thing was just printing money, I was like, of course I just want to do this bigger.
Yeah.
Like I just want to scale this up. And so I was literally posting content about buying hotels and what that looked like before I even had a single hotel. And like the world rallied behind me and was like, fuck yeah, bro. Like go get your hotel. 100%. And that was so much fuel. I ended up raising $50,000 on a 5-minute conversation because somebody had been following me on social. And I was like, wait a second, like building in public, It does two things. So I am of the minority that believes every single human on the planet should be posting online. 100% of
I
people.
fully believe
There is not a use case that I believe someone should not be posting online. Even if you don't plan to monetize it at all, poking your outer shell, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, it's like ice baths for me. It's like ice baths for me. Of course, people talk about like, oh, these like health benefits and how your physiology changes, whatever. That, but also just getting yourself to do the thing that's uncomfortable,
that you don't want to do
is so valuable because that translates across the board in your life. Like I found once I started taking cold showers and doing ice baths, but cold showers are so accessible that it's like a no-brainer. As I started doing cold showers, everything in my life became easier because it became easier to get myself to do things that I didn't want to do.
to make the decision.
Totally.
Like, hey, I'm going to do this even though I don't want to. Like,
Right.
go for a run at 3 p.m. in 100-degree Texas heat. Don't want to do it. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually a part of your brain, I think it's called the mid-cingulate cortex or something like that. I don't know. It's a part in your brain where it lights up when you get yourself to do things that you don't want to do. Have you heard about this?
I have.
Yeah, it lights up when you get yourself to do things that you don't want to do. And the crazy thing is it doesn't light up when you just do something difficult. It lights up specifically when you don't want to do that. Or do that thing. And as you continue to do that thing, that part of your brain grows and it becomes stronger. It's like a muscle, like anything else. The more you exercise it, the better you can execute with it. And so there's a challenge that I did, or actually, no, I'm going to loop around and finish the thought. So it grows as you continue to do things that you don't want to do. And so the more frequently you use it, the easier it is to get things the easier it is to do things that you don't want to do, whether it's get a workout in, say no to the piece of cake because you know it's not in your plan, send out those 100 emails to get your business kicked off the ground, whatever those things are, it actually becomes easier and more enjoyable to do. And for anybody who wants to apply it, so cold showers are a good one. The second is the coffee challenge, where anytime you go get a coffee or purchase anything, if you don't drink coffee, you ask for a discount. And the only rule, have you played this game?
Yeah, that's tough.
The only rule is that you can't tell people it's part of a challenge. And I found from doing that regularly, I did it for like 30 days, it becomes so much easier to have hard conversations and to do things that you don't want to do because you're engaging with uncomfortable conversations regularly.
All the time.
Yeah. And also, surprisingly, like 20% of the time you get a discount for zero reason at all, which is also fantastic.
You know what's funny when you talk about like social media and I guess public speaking, video editing, filming, all those things, those skills, my sister, she, kind of gained some weight, just was not confident in herself. And then she lost some weight, became more confident in her skin. And then she started making TikToks. And I was like, what's going on? Why is she making TikToks? And so she's making these videos, and I realized like just that skill of showing up for herself, talking about literally nothing. She's talking about reading books. That has given her so much confidence just to continue to speak. I've seen her go on dates now just from making TikToks, dude. It's not just from making TikToks, but it's the mindset,
Yeah.
right? And it's the skills that you're doing, and you're doing things that you don't want to do, or that you're embarrassed to do, or that you're like, oh, what are people going to think about me? And you do it anyway. And I've just seen so much change happen in her life. And this is my sister. Like, this is somebody close to me that I know and love and see all the time. So it's just a good example of like, hey, when you do something that you don't want to do, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. So bringing it down to a tactical level, what does your schedule look like?
Oh my gosh. My schedule is
Or
crazy.
your routine?
Yeah, my routine's crazy. So Mondays and Wednesdays, that's my client heavy days. So I'm doing a lot of in-person training and then a lot of like online client check-ins as well as senior home work. Tuesdays and Thursdays right now, I'm working for a sales company. We actually work with corporate professionals to help them stack multiple remote roles at the same time. So it's basically like a job stacking service. And I'm doing a lot of outbound dials, sales calls, triage calls, call confirmations using Go High Level. So I'm just using a CRM and doing a bunch of that Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then Friday is a little bit of all of those things. Saturdays and Sundays right now, I've been doing some construction work, landscaping gig. I have this landscaping company that I work with. I'll say with and not really for. We just landed a project in Waco of like 500 houses to do all of the landscaping for. So I do some of that in my free time. But really what I'm looking to do is to systemize and build out a team for my online fitness and nutrition offers, like appointment setters, ads, closers, all those things, and then use that revenue to either become a senior placement person, which I haven't really talked about this, but this is like apartment locator for senior citizens, super lucrative there, or use the money that I'm making from my coaching business to then get into the real estate game and then operate an assisted living business. So all that being said, I'm all over the place. I'm doing a lot of things right now, but I'm trying to dial it in to working on one thing.
So which of those things is that one thing?
Well, it's going to be the coaching business. I'm really good at fitness and nutrition and coaching and sales. That's the thing that I want to dial in and build out a team. And then as I kind of systemize that and can, I would say, remove myself from the operations and just more be like empowerment and delegating to the employees that I employ, then I will use the revenue to take care of the seniors, because that's the thing that I am very passionate about. But I, one, need to figure out how to raise some funds, which I would love to speak with Alec, I believe you said. And then two, just need to partner with the right person there. So that's the thing that I want to get into. I would love to do it now. I just need to figure out the right way financially.
Yeah. Well, share more about your coaching business. Like, what does that look like? How do you have it set up?
Yeah. So a lot of it is, in-person coaching, Austin, Texas, personal trainer. If you need a personal trainer, I'm the best in the city. But as far as online, it's a lot of accountability. I mean, let's be real. You can use AI. You can use anything nowadays. We live in the information age to get the information that you need to get the goals, to get to your goals. But the thing is that if you're not already doing that on your own, well, then you need somebody to hold you accountable. And if it's not going to be you, it needs to be somebody else. So if somebody is in the mindset of like, hey, I want a mentor, I need a leader in my life, I'm willing to pay for this, that's when we would get into an arrangement with me. I work with people for a year minimum. So it's a year contract. Most of the people that I'm working with are dads or soon to be dads that want to just be a good leader, good husband, good father. That's who I am. That's the energy that I'm putting out. So that's who I'm trying to attract. But yeah, doing year-long contracts with people, that's basically what it is. It's just like accountability coaching.
That's awesome. Yeah, we should definitely chat more after this, because I'm in a similar season of scaling a community around boutique hotels. And so I'm in the phase right now where I'm just dumping value into the community. We do 2 calls a week. And so we have some systems that we're scaling in terms of like top of funnel to make the sales and everything else. But right now, my main focus is just like, how do I pour so much value in that this is absurd? Like the people that are in there right now, they even message me. They're like, dude, this is a steal. You could like double your prices. And
I love that.
I'm like, no, I'm not
So
there.
you're running program.
I am. Yeah. It's more a mastermind that's like, we do group calls. I don't do as much one-on-one stuff. Because mostly in commercial real estate, there's the accountability aspect of it, but a lot of it too is just like partnerships. Like you're talking about raising capital. Like I am very much, so I'm the youngest of 4. And so the strength that I naturally developed as I grew up was aligning incentives with everybody around me. And so that is like the superpower that I have been fortunate to grow up with, of course, at the cost of other superpowers that like the firstborns get.
Yep.
But being the youngest of 4, where it's just like aligning incentives and figuring out how do you and I both win together, and then bringing people on my team. And so that's where the partnerships come in. Where like literally within 9 months of deciding to buy a hotel, I didn't know a single person in the space. I didn't even know anybody who worked at a hotel, let alone owned a hotel. And 9 months later, I owned a hotel. And this was after I had dumped all my money into the fourplex. So I like walked into it. I was like, I don't know a single person and I don't have any money in commercial real estate. How do I get this thing? And it was literally just aligning incentives and building in public that made it happen. So that's like part of what I'm pouring into with this program. But all that to say, in terms of like the systems, you mentioned go high level and stuff, we should chat afterwards.
Yeah.
Just to discuss like what does that optimal thing look like, because I'm sure we could both learn a lot.
I'm sure we could. I've been in this space for a minute. I'm just trying to figure out like where do I put my energy, because I'm super ambitious. I've been, profitable and Mr. Entrepreneur for the past 7 years now that I've been in Austin, and it's been great. But I've also been an army of one this whole time.
Dude, so what does it look like to cut down and only do the coaching business? Because you mentioned a handful of things. If you were like, I'm just going to do this thing and just blow that up.
That's my plan. My resistance to that right now is money. The only reason is because I need to invest into marketing, ad spend, team, stuff like that, which will cost me a little bit of change up front. On the back end, I'm very confident in my ability to sell and then to fulfill the sale that I get. I can onboard them. I can get the results for sure. The hardest part for me is spending 10 grand up front and then for some reason not making it back, because it's happened to me before. I entered into a couple different coaching programs, I think 5 of them in the past 3 years or 4 years now, where each one of them was 10 to 20 grand. So I spent a lot of money on coaching and I did not make an ROI on a lot of those different ones, primarily because times were changing. The first one that I did, it was all about like posting in Facebook groups and blah, 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 which is super outdated. Total waste of money. The next one, they had like this guarantee done for you service, just got burnt on it. Not to get too far in the weeds, I just have been burned financially a few times. And so I just found this marketing firm, done for you. They'll take care of everything for me. All I have to do is show up to the calls on the calendar. And I'm like, sweet, this sounds awesome. Great. Pitch it to my wife. And she's like, dude, I just want you to have like this much capital, which is quite a bit, the number that you said, before we do that again. I'm like, you know what? That's fair. That's fair. So I've just been working time for money right now, the past like 3 months, I would say. I've been able to get like, dude, tens of thousands of dollars from the online business. And I know that's where the money is, and also way less time consuming to do the fulfillment on the back end. But the thing that's been the most consistent currently has been in-person things, trading time for money, going to senior homes, doing landscaping on the weekends, you know, whatever I have to do, because my bills are minimum 10 grand a month. So my operations just to break even is like 120 grand a year, which is a lot, just because of where I've kind of gotten with mortgage, everything, you know? So I'm in like not a scarcity mindset, but it's hard for me to find cash on hand to just dump into this without a 100% guarantee on a return. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's always the tricky part. Like business at its highest level, or I'll say like most fundamental level, but that translates to the highest level, really comes down to capital allocation and HR. Like who can you bring on the team and where do you allocate the capital to maximize those returns? And that's difficult, man. That's really, really difficult.
Honestly, I feel like if I could figure out a system that was like, okay, I'm paying for marketing, I'm scripting videos that are like psychological, really hitting to the client that I'm looking to sell to, dump money into that, whether it's, I don't know, 1 to 3,000 a month. Let's just say it's 2,000 a month for quick numbers. My profit margins, really, I'm not paying anyone. I don't have employees. It's just all me. So it's, let's just say 95%, 100% profit margin, really. If I make one sale, which for a year package, it's like 5 to 6 grand, and I'm spending 2,000 on the ads, like it makes total sense, right? It makes total sense. I've laid it all out in all of the numbers, and my wife's just like, just give it like a couple of months. So I'm in a place where I'm about to blast off, and I know that. I just went through a sales course, spent $30,000 on the sales course, and of somebody else's money, actually. It wasn't my money. They got me in.
Yeah,
but it was amazing. I learned so much. I feel so confident in like just my ability to show up and sell and really have a great offer. So I just need to keep doing my thing, really. Just keep plugging away.
Dude, I love that. And then also like applying that discipline from training regularly to business. Like I always say, if you have flawless discipline, you can become anybody that you want to.
It's easier said than done.
It's easier said than done.
You're very true. You're very, very correct when you say that. It's like, if you can just do the inputs, bro, the output is guaranteed.
Yeah. Like if you cast a crystal clear vision and you have a roadmap to that vision, and you know that if you execute on it flawlessly, you'll get there, then it really just becomes a game of time. Like becoming that version of you that does have those things. Then the only difference between you and what you're going for is that time. But then you have to show up every single day. And if you have flawless discipline to get there, then you're good.
100%. That's basically what I'm working on, bro.
Okay. I know we're close to time on this, so I'm going to squeeze out a couple of things. Number one is 2 days ago, I had an idea, and I'd like to see that idea delivered on by the end of this week. I went hiking a couple days ago over in, I don't remember the name of the trail, in the just west of Austin in the hill country, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And while I was hiking it was like a 2-mile hike. Some friends were in town, so we hit this hike, and in my mind I was like, dude, this would be sick to ruck, just like something really heavy on my back. And so I want to kick off, like, I'm calling it the Heavy Mile Co. And we're just going to ruck super like 50-pound bags up and down this trail. I don't know if it's like a couple miles or what. I think it was like 2.5 miles round trip. Maybe we hit it 2 times or something. And the hottest day in Texas, I looked up, is August 8th. So August 8th, I'd love to get a group together to ruck this trail a couple times. And I'm calling it the heaviest mile. It's going to be sponsored by the Heavy Mile Co., which is, I'm thinking maybe we do it like every 6 months, like the hottest and the coldest day or something in Texas. And yeah, so that's it. What do you think?
Dude, I'm there.
Fuck yeah. Let's do it.
I did a ruck overnight about a month ago. We did a marathon overnight. So I rucked for like 12 hours.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think I could do a couple.
Nice.
That?
Dude, yeah, I'd love to get like 20 people together who are
man, we do that.
entrepreneurs trying to do fitness or something. We literally just like, yeah, we just freaking ruck this thing.
Honestly, bro, the best conversations either happen when you're sweating, whether it's in the sauna, it's on a ruck, a workout. The best conversations happen when there's like some type of physicality, something with the sweat. It just gets your mind going, you know? So that sounds awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay. Now to wrap up the show, we believe that questions are the answer. So what question do you believe people need to ask themselves to stay dialed and disciplined like we were talking about?
That is a good question. Yeah. So what is the question that you need to ask yourself just to stay dialed? I mean, the question is, why am I doing this, right? Like, what is this for? For me, it's that answer has changed a lot over time. At first, it was for vanity. Then it was for, my mindset. And now it's for my son. Like, I'm showing up every day for my son. Yes, it is for me. But when he sees me doing these things, he's going to learn perseverance. And that trait is like the thing that I want to instill in him more than anything, is just when you show up and you face adversity and you overcome and you persevere, boom, anything could happen. So I think it's asking yourself why you're doing what you're doing. And if you have a good answer, then you'll keep doing it. For me, when I did that Navy SEAL thing, the question, the word shown up all the time, why am I here? Why am I here? I didn't have an answer. Quit.
Yeah. What is that? One of my favorite expressions. It is, purpose is what turns pain to fulfillment. And it's like you experience pain going through life, and the deeper the pain, the greater the opportunity for greater fulfillment if you have a strong enough purpose. So I think Viktor Frankl said, with a strong enough why, man can withstand any how. And that was when I was in the pits, like we were talking about. I was obsessive about reading literature on mindset and Viktor Frankl. He was a psychiatrist who went through Auschwitz and World War II and all this other stuff. And he was a Jewish psychiatrist who wrote a book about the psychological degradation and rebuilding of the mind, and how the only people who survived the concentration camps were people with a very specific mindset. And it's a fantastic book if you haven't read it. It's one of my most recommended books to people. And so, yeah, he talks a lot about that. Is like, you need a strong enough why to withstand the how. But if you have a strong enough why, it actually elevates you as a person. And he makes the argument that there were people who went through the concentration camps who became versions of themselves that they could not have become without the concentration camps, which is like, you can only make that claim if you've been through concentration camps, right? Like, I couldn't say that, but hearing him talk about how even the concentration camps elevated the survivors who responded properly to a point where they became the greatest versions of themselves that they were capable of becoming, it really shifts that perspective of focusing on developing a why and believing your why and leaning into your why. And then you lean into the how and the pain and the suffering of that how. And that's where fulfillment comes.
That was such beautifully said. Like, that was a bar right there. It's like, yeah, that was beautiful. I don't even have anything to say.
Ross, it's been an absolute blast, brother. We'll do this again. And yeah, let's rock, bro.
Let's rock. Let's sweat. Appreciate you having me on, man. This was a pleasure.
Yeah, of course.